Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So I am so beyond excited for this video because finally the Natasha Denona Gold palette has come into my life. I have it here, it's beautiful. I feel like a giddy little child because I have wanted this palette for so long, it's not even funny. When it first came out, I was like, ew, who wants a full gold palette? But when I saw reviews and looks, and every time someone wears this palette, I'm just like so in love with the finished look and textures, and it just looks so beyond beautiful. I've never bought a Natasha Denona like full palette before. I have some like of the little 5-pan. I have 2 holiday 5-pans that I got both on sale, and then I got the purple blue palette from a Beautylish Lucky bag, but I've never actually purchased one of the like, you know, big palettes. So it just took me a really long time to fully justify it, and this palette has been on my mind for months and months and months. Like ever since I started liking it after I saw the reviews, it has been on my mind. It has not gone away, so I treated myself, especially because I don't want to get super into details, but I got a separate part-time job, and I was like, if I get this job, I'm getting the Natasha Denona Gold palette. So I knew, I had a feeling it would come into my future, and then I got the Alter Ego Goddess palette, which I love. I think it's amazing and beautiful, and I'm so excited to compare these, but I was just so curious to have the real deal and to see if the textures were different or what, and then it ended up going on sale on Beautylish. Sorry that this is a really long story time, but I have to go there. So it ended up going on sale on Beautylish for like 30% off, or no, I think maybe 20% off, and then Beautylish I actually have an affiliate code for, so I use my own affiliate code, and it's like 11% back. It's like a really nice commission on Beautylish, so it felt like I was getting 30% off this palette, and they have payment plans, which I could have just purchased it all at once, like I really could have, but the payment plan just sounded nice, so I went ahead and did the 3-part split up, so it all just ended up working out perfectly, and I'm just really hoping that I love this palette. So I got this in the mail today, and like I just could not wait to open it, and I did take a few Instagram photos and then put it back in its packaging because I think it's so pretty. And then also coincidentally in the mail today I got some things from Kevyn Aucoin, which was actually PR. These were sent to me through Octoly, so I figured it would be kind of fun because like this is luxury makeup, Natasha Denona's luxury makeup, to go ahead and do like a luxury makeup first impression. I just think it's so random that these all came to me on the same day, especially because I like never buy luxury makeup. So like I said, these were PR through Octoly, and I've got quite a few different things here. Probably the most exciting thing that I've got requested already to review is the foundation balm, which just released. I have the shade Light FB01, which was the lightest one that they offered. It also comes with like a little brush in it, and then I have the Glass Glow Face Illuminator in the shade Crystal Clear, which was the lightest shade, and then the 3 Glass Glow lip glosses, which I'm so excited about because I love lip gloss so much. There's Crystal Clear, Prism Rose, and Spectrum Bronze, so I thought it'd be fun to do a first impression. Okay, so my face is already moisturized. I thought I would go ahead and do face first and then leave the palette towards the end. I'll take it out, we'll view it, swatch it, all that good stuff. I figured I would just go ahead and do like a full face makeup look throughout this video. I rarely do that. A lot of times in first impressions I just focus on like the certain thing, but I've got a few items pulled out. So I'm gonna go ahead and prime my skin with the Tarte Silk Canvas, which is part of my Shop My Stash for this month. So we're just gonna go ahead and take just a decent amount and pop that onto the center of my face. Alrighty, so just gonna go ahead and pull the foundation out. I believe that this retails for $52, so it is definitely a pretty expensive foundation. I'm curious to see. It's supposed to be like super full coverage, so I'm excited. Here's the little brush that it comes with. So it's pretty tiny. I guess I could just like compare it to, like, here it is next to a Looksy brush, but it seems to be kind of just like a flat top kabuki. Oh gosh, I wonder if this is animal hair or not. I don't know. I had some questions about Kevyn Aucoin's cruelty-free status, and most people consider them cruelty-free. They said that they don't test on animals, but they don't consider themselves cruelty-free because someone explained it as maybe their suppliers could possibly test on animals. I don't know what the fact that they themselves don't test on animals is kind of where my cruelty-free status is. I feel like it's very personal to each person. Some people kind of see it as like a gray line, so I just want to mention that really quickly. I try not to use brushes that have animal hair, but I don't know about this. I don't even know if it would be, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do research to see. So there's what the packaging looks like. It's not like anything super luxurious, but it's sleek. It kind of reminds me of the Chanel Sol de Tan de Chanel bronzer. So here's what it looks like. It looks like it might be a little bit too dark for me. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and swatch it. Okay, it's super creamy. Oh yeah. Might be just a touch too dark. I mean, it blended in okay, but the thing with full coverage foundations is that I feel like if you have something that's not quite your shade and it's more sheer, it can kind of look like your shade. But if you have something that's full coverage, I think that's when your shade becomes like extra important, at least being super precise. So I'm gonna go ahead and just use this brush on one side of my face, I guess, just to see. And I don't even know how much to pick up. I've never had a balm foundation before, but I do have some acne right now, so I'm curious to see how much it covers up my acne and my freckles and everything. I mean, that looks pretty good. We're just using a little bit, but I can still see redness and whatnot. Oh man, I forgot I was gonna go in with a sponge on the other side. Good job. I'll do a sponge on my forehead. Oh goodness. I mean, I think the color looks okay. I think the color is blending out to look okay on me, but I'll definitely have to like wear it in like natural light and everything and see how I end up feeling, or if I need to mix it with something. Which this will be an interesting product to try and mix. Going with a little bit extra here just to see if I can get that redness covered up. I think overall this brush is blending it in okay, but there are a little bit of streaks. I would probably go over it with a sponge either way. But I think overall it looks, at least in this moment, it looks very skin-like on the skin. It doesn't look super textured or clinging to things. It doesn't look cakey. I'm gonna go ahead and use a little bit more in this area. But yeah, you kind of have to work to blend it in with this brush. It's not like the most foolproof kabuki brush ever. I also feel like it's a very natural finish. It does not look matte per se, but it doesn't look dewy either. It's kind of just like right in between. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and who knows how hygienic this is, but I'm gonna take my wet sponge and just grab a little bit of the foundation. Oh gosh, okay, that seemed to pick up a lot more coverage. Just gonna go ahead and bounce that into my forehead. Maybe not. Okay, it's shearing out well as I blend it in. It's just when I first applied it, I was like, whoa. Just gonna go ahead and take the sponge over the rest of my face as well, just to kind of make sure it's all blended in. I'm thinking, this is kind of chatty, but I have done this series for a while on my channel where I do like the lightest shade of foundation, and it's always been a first impression of the foundation, and I do a wear test and then kind of give my thoughts from the days, or from just like that one day and how I feel about it. And I thought, honestly, even though I started it and I did it that way because first impressions are so popular, that it would be more helpful if I turned that series into more of a review. And like, it doesn't have to be a first impression. When I apply it, I can just show what it looks like, compare it to some other things, and then still do the wear test, because I think that's really a helpful portion, as long as you show what it truly looks like and zoom in and everything like that. So I think I might end up doing like a lightest shade on this foundation once I've tested it out thoroughly, and then I can compare it to other shades and tell you how it lasts throughout the day and kind of give it its little moment rather than a first impression. All right, so that's all the foundation I'm gonna apply. I feel like it looks really nice. It looks, I don't know, it just looks very, very natural and I don't know, I don't think it's that full coverage. It's buildable for sure, and maybe it's just the way that I applied it. I would call it more of a medium coverage because I can still see my freckles peeking through. I can still see a little bit of redness. Like, I don't know. Here, I'll go there. So there you can kind of see my freckles peeking through. Alright, so far I like it. I think it looks pretty. Don't know if it's worth $52. I think that's kind of be my general consensus for this video, where it's like, I don't know if it's worth the money right now because it's going to take time to really use them and evaluate how they make me feel before I can say like, yes, this is worth the money. So really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and do some concealer. I'm going to start off with my Becca under eye corrector and just use a tiny bit to correct my dark circles. I just go ahead and blend that in with my finger. This foundation doesn't have any transfer either, and it feels like it set itself also. So I feel like I would be, oh geez, that's the wrong finger. I would be content with just setting underneath my eyes at my concealer and not setting the foundation because it feels really nice. At least for me, someone with dry skin. For someone with oily skin, I don't know. I don't know. Alright, for concealer, I'm going to go ahead and use my NARS Little Stick Concealer, which I've been trying to use up for a hot minute, and just kind of correct some of the acne situations going on my face. And I normally like to kind of let that sit because I just feel like it's better coverage for the stick concealer if it sits for a little bit, and then I just lightly blend it out. And then for underneath my eyes, I'm going to go into my Berry M concealer in the shade Milk and just use a little tiny bit. I'm going to go ahead and take my Becca Hydro Mist powder and just lightly set underneath my eyes. I'm going to go ahead and bronze up my skin really quickly using the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter in the shade Be My Highlight. It just gives me like a really warm, glowy kind of look. So I'm just going to bronze real quickly with that. I feel like this is kind of the vibes of the look that I'm going for today. It's honestly, this reminds me so much of the Kevyn Aucoin bronzer. The no, that's not it. This is the Kevyn Aucoin bronzer, or actually it's a highlighter, sorry, in this shade Sahara, but I use it as a bronzer. These two kind of give me really similar vibes. I really want to do like a drugstore versus like luxury makeup kind of half and half face video, because I've been thinking of some similar products for a while, but I didn't want to like go full on bougie for this video, so I'm using this one, which I do really like. I really want to do a neutral blush today, so I'm going to go ahead and take Plum Rose from Physicians Formula and just pop a little bit of that on the cheekbones. I also wanted to do a matte blush just because the highlighter, I want to see how it applies. Actually, I just remembered the highlighter is liquid, so we'll see how it applies over powder. Man, this smells so good. I'm going to go in with my Ofra eye primer, which I received through Octoly, and just use that to prime my eyelids today. I thought I would go ahead and try the palette out first with just a very like, I don't know, I feel like this is like the basic kind of eye primer, like Urban Decay type potion thingy. Milani has one, Wet n Wild has one. I find them all to be really similar, so just thought I would start off with this rather than going with something a little more complicated like the Makeup Revolution Cut Crease Canvas, which, you know, overall I've had good experiences with, but sometimes it can cause shadows to be more tricky. Of course, I have experience with Natasha and shadows and I've never had a problem, so I don't know why I'm like overthinking it. Alright guys, the time is here to pull the beautiful Natasha Denona Gold palette out. Alright, so here is what the packaging looks like. It is extremely reflective. I think it feels really nice. And then the inside is like this. It does have like the little annoying name sheet on it, which is annoying, and part of me feels like I should take it off, but also you can completely bend this palette backwards, so it's not quite as annoying. I feel like it is so beautiful, especially Lime Chrome, which is the shade I'm living, dying, breathing for. It actually, I didn't realize this, but I don't know if you can tell, when the light's not hitting it and it has its base, it's actually almost kind of like a reddy pinky base. And then it has that like extreme gold flip to it. It's not quite exactly what I imagined, like from seeing it in swatches and stuff. It looks a little bit different in person, and I haven't swatched anything yet, so I figured we could go ahead and do swatches together. But it looks really, really beautiful. It looks like the perfect neutral palette. I'm so excited. Like, I'm just living for the way that these reflect the light is just stunning. All right, I'm not even gonna bother reading the names up. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch these in twos just because I hurt my finger and I have a band-aid on just to protect it from getting anything into it. But I swatched some things the other day with it and it just hurt to do it. Plus I couldn't like actually put any pressure down on my arms, so I figured we're just gonna be doing 2 swatches at a time rather than 3 like I normally do, but that's fine because you know I love swatches and I love just going through each shade one by one. Okay, so I'm swatching Lime Chrome and it feels extremely, it feels like, suddenly words escape me. It feels very thin and like a topper, but look at that reflection. I thought it was gonna be more chunky, but it's beautiful. It has like a actually like a pinky base to it, a pinky red, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was just a gold with a green shift. And then next we have the blue sparkly shade, which actually that looks really pretty. It definitely has like some really beautiful sparkles in it, kind of like a teal with a little bit of a deeper base to it. Okay, so swatched out on the hand there like that, it does look a little bit more sheer. I saw that that one is supposed to be more of a topper, so I'm intrigued to see how that'll end up working out. It does have really beautiful sparkles throughout it though. Alrighty, next we have Brass, which this one, like immediately, like that was barely touching it. This one looks like it's gonna have a really intense texture to it, and it is basically like the perfect kind of greeny gold mixture. And then next we have the like really deep matte navy blue, which feels pretty creamy actually. Like, it feels interesting. It almost feels wet touching it. Ooh, shout out to my camera for not focusing. Actually, looking at this shade right here, I believe it's called Brass. It does almost appear to have a similar duochrome to Lime Chrome. They look similar swatched out, but it's just completely different textures. All right, next we've got 2 matte shades. There's like the Camely MAC Uninterrupted Brown shade, which looks really, really nice. In fact, it's like the exact shade of my Band-Aid. And then there's like a really soft brown, which actually the soft browns in here all look quite similar. Let's see. So there's what they look like. I'm not really as here for the browns. Like, I'm sure that they're going to be good formulas and blend easy and everything. I feel like they're beautiful accent shades, but I'm here for the shimmer, so that's not quite as exciting. I'm also really excited about the fact that all of these are completely magnetic, so I think it would also be fun to kind of rearrange this palette and do it the way that I like to arrange colors in my head. So next we have a beautiful like white sparkly shade, which almost has a little bit of a gold shift to it. I see a lot of people not liking this just because, again, it is more of like a sheer topper, but I kind of live for this kind of shade. Like, that beautiful sheer topper kind of reminds me of Rhinestone Collar from Kitten Boss Cosmetics, which is one of my favorite indie singles. So I think a little glitter glue, and that will be beautiful on the inner corner, or like adding it as a topper to other shades. And then next we have a like true kind of like really warm metallic gold. Ooh. So intense and metallic. This definitely reminds me of some of the shimmers in the Warrior palette from Juvia's Place. Alright, next I have like a neutrally mid-tone gold shade, which has a really beautiful, just like that, just intense texture to it. And then another soft brown matte shadow. See, this shadow and this shadow look so similar. They look like they're duping each other. That's a little bit unfortunate. Next we have the deepest matte brown shadow, which again feels super, super soft and creamy, and just like that looks really, really intense, nice and deepening. And then another like mid-tone matte brown shade. That one looks a little darker than the other two. Yeah, okay, I can see the difference there. All right, next is a lighter neutral gold, and this one, it has a little bit of a sparkle to it, and it kind of has more of that like topper kind of feel where it's like very thin kind of texture to it. And then we've got like a really grungy bronze, but it's a very neutral bronze, and that has more of like a regular metallic formula to it. Right, last but not least is like a almost like kind of yellowy lighter metallic gold, and this has like the regular metallic texture to it. Doesn't really look any like sparkly or anything like that. So there is what it looks like. It's kind of funny because I don't even know, it's so many golds, but they're all so interesting and different, and so many different textures and sparkles, and like especially the shades up here I love so much. This one as well looks really beautiful. I think that would be really pretty on the inner corner, and the mattes look like they would go really well with everything. So I'm excited. I know that this is neutral for me, but something about this palette altogether just makes my heart so happy. So I'm really, really excited, and I'm like gathering thoughts and like thinking of how this compares to the Alter Ego Goddess palette, which actually I haven't swatched completely out. I've just been using it for looks consistently. So here's the current state of my Goddess palette, which I think you can tell is pretty loved. I'm not going to do like comparisons or anything right now, but I mean, Cassandra kind of has a little bit of that pinky base. Okay, I will do one comparison, which is just this shade, which is the one that's most like lime chrome, just because I'm sure people want to know if it really compares. I mean, they both have kind of that like thinner topper consistency. So there is Cassandra. They look pretty similar. I think the Alter Ego one looks like it's catching the light a little bit more, but that's just because of where it's swatched right there. But yeah, they look like they duped each other really, really well. Okay, I'm so glad that I spent $100 to know that. Okay. Right, so there are the up close swatches in my super awkward angle. Alrighty, so now it's time to jump into the palette, and it's so hard to make a decision of what I want to do today. Like, I'm just so stoked to own this palette and use it all the time, so I kind of want to do a palette declutter just because I'm like, I just want to focus on like the things I truly love. I know I haven't even put this on my eyelids yet, but I feel like a cosmic connection, so I'm gonna go ahead and it's so difficult to choose. Okay. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm just gonna go ahead and follow my heart and start off with this really beautiful camel-y shade right here on a fluffy brush. And I'm gonna put that right into my crease. Honestly needed to declutter this brush because every time I use it, I'm like, man, this is really scratchy. This is the Zoeva 228 Luxe Crease Brush. But so far, looking so good. It's blending well. It's a really pretty color. It's exactly what I expected it to be. I feel like you can find this color a lot nowadays. But I remember buying MAC Uninterrupted in like the little Pro Pan. Gosh, I think it must have been like at the end of high school or something, and I love that shade. Honestly, I really hate this brush. The more I use it, the more uncomfortable my eye is. So it's like hard to even judge the blending just because this brush is like annoying me so much. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw it off to the side and grab a different brush, which looks a little dirty, but I'm just gonna wipe it off. And this one's a lot softer. This is the Sigma E35, and I'll just go ahead and throw that into, yeah, look at that, already a world of difference. At least for me, so much more comfortable. This brush is picking up the pigment better too. All right, now I'm gonna dip into this matte brown right here, just because I feel like when I swatched that, it kind of had a similar kind of camel-y vibe to it, and it's also a little bit deeper, so I thought I would go ahead and just see how that worked on the outer V first. Yeah, that has some pretty good depth to it. In contrast with this shade, I think the tones work really well together, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just blend that out in circular motions. All right, just for the heck of it, I'm gonna go into a little touch of this deep brown, and I'm gonna pop that into my very most outer V and just lightly blend it out. I barely went in with anything, so it's got a really good amount of depth to it, which I really appreciate. Just spoiler alert on my comparisons, I feel like the brown in the Alter Ego palette, I know that's probably not the star of the show, so who cares about the matte brown, but that one I feel like does not build up to be as like defining or with as much depth as this one right off the bat. I'm just going in with my previous brush and just lightly blending out the edge, although it's not really all that needed, it's pretty blended already. Okay, so now I need to wipe off my favorite little eyeshadow brush and think about what I'm gonna do on my eyelid, because this is when the hard decisions come in. I feel like my heart really wants me to go for the green shifting shades, just because that's what I was most excited about, but I do think this gold here is really beautiful as well. Maybe I'll do that one on my lower lash line. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take this shade right here, just because the texture looks so beautiful. And I'm not using a glitter glue today, so we'll see how it does on fallout, but I'm just gonna go ahead and pop that all over my eyelid basically. I'm only getting just a little tiny bit of fallout, which is nice. The heck of it, I'm gonna go ahead and grab a touch on my finger. Yep, that is where it's at, and just tap it onto the lid. That is so beautiful. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my little blender brush and just lightly blend out the edges of where the matte and the gold shadows meet. I don't think it's gonna be perfect because it's very sparkly, but I just want to give a little bit more of a diffused look. All right, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and grab the brush that I use for powder and just lightly brush away. There's just a touch of fallout, but it's not anything crazy by any means, especially considering how textured the shadow is. I expected it to be way worse. All right, for the lower lash line, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with this bronzy shade right here. I don't know why, I just really want to use that one, so I'm gonna use it on like the outer half of my lower lash line. And just kind of blend it out. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and grab this really, really intense gold in the middle, and I'm gonna pop that onto my lower lash line right here on the inner part. I feel like these are the kind of colors that make my eyes pop like no other. So I think now I'm gonna go ahead and use that really beautiful topper shade here as my inner corner highlight. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and use a glitter glue just because I have a feeling already that that's gonna make the performance so much better. And the glitter glue I use is the NYX one. It's like $5. So I'm gonna use it. All right, so I'm picking that shade up with the same brush. I'm just gonna go ahead and pop that on the inner corner. Look how pretty that looks. It has like a gold shift to it. See? Like I said, I saw people really thinking that this shade was not good and that it was a dud, but I just had a feeling that it was like this was how it needed to be worked with in order to kind of show up and do its thing and look beautiful. And it is kind of that toppery texture, but I love a toppery texture. so pretty, and it has such a beautiful sparkle to it. Alright, so that is my first finished look with the Natasha Gold palette, and it is very, very gold, but the textures are so beautiful. Everything blended really easily, so I think it's stunning. Like I said, I can't say if it's worth the money yet, and I'm so curious to compare it to a ton of other things in my collection, but as of right now, I do like the palette just based on quality alone. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Appeal Gel Liner in Deep Taupe into my waterline because I'm obsessed with this eyeliner. I got it in BoxyCharm and I cannot stop wearing it. It's just the most beautiful color. It makes my eyes pop. And the other day I did a video and I was wearing this, and it was like after like 9 hours or something, and the color was still so apparent. So it's very long wearing. It doesn't bleed out. It doesn't get into my contacts. It's just like probably one of my favorite things I've ever gotten from BoxyCharm, even though it's just an eyeliner. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw on the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. Alright, so jumping back into the Kevyn Aucoin First Impressions, I'm going to go ahead and pull out the Glass Glow Face Illuminator. I was really curious about this because, for one, I've heard Hannah Louise Poston talk about it, and I just love a beautiful glow. So this is described, let's see, it's a universal, lightweight, unique formula creating youthful looking, well hydrated skin with a glassy complexion. The multi-purpose glow gel can be used on the face and body, leaving skin appearing clear, radiant, and seemingly transparent, the bridge between highlighting and skincare. Ooh, okay, so it sounds really beautiful. About it. It has a little pump on it, which is nice. So I guess I'll just like, I don't even know how much to take. I'm just gonna do like a little dollop and just pop that onto my cheekbone. Again, not really sure how this will layer. Ooh, that is really beautiful. And it doesn't seem to be disrupting the powder. Camera does not want to focus on me right now, but I literally applied almost nothing, and it just gives that really beautiful glow. Like, it does not look like a regular highlighter. It just looks like a glow from within. Every time I highlight, my camera gets mad and decides not to focus, but I'm excited. I think this would be really beautiful on like no makeup kind of days, because I love to do just highlighter and nothing else. Like, that's what I wear a lot of the time. If I'm like running out the door, I like stop, and normally my favorite go-to highlighter is the Natasha Denona Super Glow in Fair. But this is really beautiful. I accidentally took out way too much, even though I barely used any. So I'm like highlighting every possible spot that I could highlight and just tapping it in. Honestly, like on my chin and everything, like I'm gonna put it here too. It gives kind of that like oily, glowy kind of look, which as someone with like super dry skin, I love to look oily. I love the look of an oily nose. So I'm kind of curious to see how that sets into the skin and how it feels after a few minutes, because it does kind of have a tacky texture to it right now. But let's go ahead and try out the different lip products, and I'm just going to go ahead and do lip swatches of each by color order, I think. So first we have Crystal Clear, which this is like the same shade as the like these two are the same, but this is a gloss and this is a highlighter. Okay, so it has a blue reflect to it, and I wouldn't say it's like too crazy or anything, but it's definitely there. It feels thick, moisturizing, just a touch sticky, but not uncomfortably sticky. I think it looks really, really pretty. And then next is Prism Rose, which looks to be kind of like a rose goldy type of shade. Ooh. Yeah, this is the shade I would definitely wear the most. It's like my perfect shade. Again, it has a really, really glossy look to it, and it feels a little thicker, so I'm curious to see how this would end up wearing for like a longer period of time. but that's definitely the color that I like the most so far. And then last but not least is the shade Spectrum Bronze, which is a like really bronzy shade. I'm curious to see how this will end up looking if it shears out a little bit. Okay. Alright, so you can definitely see the difference between the tube and how it looks on my lips and how it shears out. I think it looks really pretty. It adds kind of a neutrally brown kind of glossy look, but it's the perfect formula because it doesn't look like too metallic, which I don't like, especially like if it's a shade like this or like a deeper shade and it's like super metallic. That's just not what I personally go for, but I think this is pretty and it'll be really nice for when I want a little bit more, I don't want to say a deep lip, but it's a little bit of a deeper gloss for me rather than like, it's a deeper nude gloss basically. All right, so I'm feeling the highlighter and it still feels a little bit sticky. There's like a little bit of residue and I'm curious to see how that would go on throughout the day. I don't mind that. Like I'm definitely the kind of person who touches my face, and I try not to just because I know there's like so many germs and whatnot from always constantly touching your face. But I don't really care if my foundation or anything like doesn't feel completely set. It's not something I really focus on. It's not a big deal for me. Although the foundation from Kevyn Aucoin does feel completely set and it feels really, really nice. I think the finish is beautiful. I think even though the color in the pot looked a little bit too dark for me, I think that it actually looks pretty good. This is like my version. There's my arm when I actually have a tan versus like my whitest. So I think overall it's a pretty good match. Overall, I'm really happy with how this first impression went. I love the finished look. Like I think that like the skin is so like natural and glowy, and the eyes, it's very neutral, but it's so just rich. I love it. But it's really late at night, so I'm sad because I'm gonna have to end up washing it off. However, I think that this is definitely one of those first impression videos. I will try my hardest to do a follow-up in the next month or so on my thoughts on all the products, just because like I said, they're so expensive that right now it would be, I mean, I never try to go completely off a first impression, but even more with the price tag being higher, that it's just impossible to say right now, like, yes, this is worth it, or yes, I love this, or this isn't worth it, because I need to really get in touch with how these products work and just live my life wearing them and see if they wear off, if they stay as vivid. And with the palette, like I said, I want to do a full, like, just like going in ham on like duping every single portion of this palette and where you can find alternatives and if it's worth it, and the alter ego. Like I just want to completely dupe every single part of this, and I don't know, I just, for someone who was wondering the same way I was, I want to just give you every alternative you possibly can if anyone else is feeling FOMO about this. So I wanted to mention specifically, like, if there's anything like in this palette you're like wanting it to be compared to, if you're like, oh, this reminds me of a shade from Juvia's Place Warrior palette, like, can you swatch that? If there's anything that comes up in your mind, please comment down below and I will save them for later, so that when I do my full swatch comparison, I can make sure to try and hit everything that you mentioned that I own and show the comparisons so that it will help as many people as possible, basically. So I'm so excited about this. I think it's so beautiful, but I don't want to be like, how do I call it? Like, I don't want to push people to make an irresponsible purchase if you're kind of on the fence about this, or if it's just like not in your budget or whatever it may be. So I really want to, like I said, I'm gonna go ham. So if there's anything you want to see, let me know. I feel like I have talked way too much in this video. It's probably way too long, but I was just so excited and I love the finished look. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.